All right, family. So I've been making these videos, a few of them now, talking about living in the truck in order to put yourself in a position to be able to save more money and kind of eliminate your home expenses, basically living in the truck and doing that for 10 years in order to put yourself further ahead faster. I've been making these videos now for a few weeks, and before I get started, I want to talk a little bit more about that in this video. But before I get started, I want to acknowledge that I know that there are those of you that are like, hey, I would never do that. I know there are those of you that have put yourself in a position where you don't even need to be thinking that way. I understand that there are people that don't need to do it, put themselves in a position where they don't have to do it. I do understand that. But at this point, I've gotten a few comments from individuals that feel that that is exactly the type of plan that they need for their life in order to be able to, we'll just say, put themselves ahead further faster, in order to help them to be able to accomplish their goals. So like, here's a few different categories of people that I believe would be willing to make that kind of sacrifice in the trucking profession in order to put themselves ahead. And actually, the people that have commented and said that that's a great plan for them, they fit into these categories. Now, I'm going somewhere with this, so just follow me. Just like always, I'm gonna change your perspective on some things in this video. So the first category of people that I believe, generally speaking, would be willing to make that kind of sacrifice would be foreigners. People, generally speaking, not all of them, generally speaking, people that come from other parts of the earth where opportunity is limited, where the possibility is not even there. You got to remember, man, some people aren't necessarily looking for it to be easy. You know, a person like me, I'm looking for it to be easy. I'm not necessarily willing to live in a truck. I'm not in a position where I have to. And, you know, like I said, I'm looking for something a little bit easier than that. A lot of us are. But some people aren't concerned with easy. Some people are just concerned with possible. So I feel that one group of people that would be willing, generally speaking, to put that kind of sacrifice into trucking in order to get the big payoff on the back end would be people coming from other parts of the earth where opportunity is limited and possibilities don't really exist to change your life much. I believe a second group of people that would be willing to make that kind of sacrifice is young people that don't really have a whole lot going for them. I also feel that people that don't really have a lot of home obligations for whatever reason. Young people a lot of the times don't have a lot of home obligations, but anybody that doesn't really have a lot of home obligations and they're also willing to do the work, young people or people with no obligations, these are great. This is a great plan for someone like that. One of the people that commented on some of the other videos that I did on this subject was, I think I recall him being just getting divorced. He just got divorced. And I can imagine, I can understand how, like, when a certain part of your life ends, you want to put all that stuff behind you. You don't want to deal with it. You need to make money. You would love to be in a position where you didn't have anybody breathing down your neck, or you're not dealing with like customer service type stuff, or you're dealing with a whole lot of people. I can understand a person wanting to get away from all of that and still be able to make good money. I believe that for that type of individual, this is a great plan to basically live in the truck, eliminate all of your home expenses for 10 years and save 100% of what you make in the truck. So now here's one of the big takeaways from that I want you guys to hear. If there are people out there that are coming into trucking, willing to look at trucking as a profession, that are willing to make that kind of sacrifice in order to have a big payoff at the end, what do you think that means for you old farts? Okay, and by that I'm not talking about nobody's age. I'm not even talking about how long you've been in trucking. By old farts, what I mean is you people that are out there in trucking, been in trucking a little bit longer, and you act like trucking, there's no opportunity in trucking now. You tell everybody to not get in trucking. You can't make any money trucking. You can't make any money over the road. Ain't no money in trucking right now. Ain't no money. You can't make any money being an owner operator right now. Like, there are plenty of people that are in trucking, company drivers and owner operators, that are doing just fine in this current trucking climate. And I actually feel that the people that are making videos and commenting in the chat groups and spreading stuff on the different social media platforms in regards to trucking being in the dumps right now. There's no opportunity here. I feel like you guys are misleading people with your content. You're misleading people with the side of trucking that you're showing them. And you say, well, how am I misleading them, Maurice? You're misleading them because you're only showing them one side. And you say, well, how can I show them anything other than one side of trucking? That's all I know is my side. That's the point that I'm making. You're making it sound like your pitiful negative experience right now in trucking is what everybody is experiencing. And that's why your content and that's why your words are misleading. The content that you're hearing right now as you listen to me speak, this is not misleading content. And the reason it's not misleading is because I'm presenting both sides. I'm presenting the side that you're on, the people that are out here in trucking miserable and feel like there's absolutely no opportunity or no reason why anybody should be getting in trucking right now. I'm letting people know that that side exists, but I also want people to know that another side exists, that there are plenty of people in trucking right now amidst the current climate that are still doing just fine. We all acknowledge changes are happening in trucking, but there are still people in this climate that a lot of you are complaining about that are still doing just fine. And I want the people that are looking at trucking from the outside to get both perspectives, to get a holistic understanding of what's going on in the trucking profession. And that's why I feel like your content is misleading and mine is not. So as far as the type of people that are coming in trucking that are willing to make the sacrifices, if there are people willing to make the sacrifices, if there are people that feel like trucking still to this day can still provide them an opportunity if they got the right attitude, no different than it always did going back to the 70s and the 80s. It's always been a hell of an opportunity for individuals with the right attitude. For the people that are coming in trucking that are still are willing to put in the work, we'll say, even though to us it may have gotten a little harder, but they're willing to make the sacrifice and they're willing to put in the time. Does it make sense that if you are one of those that's not doing that, like you're complaining about the changes, you hate the changes, like, does it make sense that you're going to be replaced by those people? Does it make sense that right now you probably are currently being replaced by the people that are willing to do the work with a good attitude that your complaining ass old farts that you guys are not willing to do? Like, there's only a couple of things that you can do in times of change. And right now you got to admit that not only is a lot of changes happening in trucking, a lot of changes are happening in the world in general. Like, you can't even blame it on trucking. Things are changing in trucking. If it ain't brokers, it's going to be something else, right? It's always going to be something and it don't matter what label you put on it, right? So, but you're like, if it's only a couple of things that you can do in times of change. One is complain, which a lot of people are doing right now. One is just complain about the changes and talk about them in a way where you feel like where you're telling people your experience is what everybody is experiencing. In other words, when you tell people you're having a negative experience in trucking, make sure you tell them that you're having a negative experience in trucking and not everybody is experiencing that negative experience in trucking. Make sure you make that clear to anybody that might be listening to you complain about trucking. So you can only do a few things when things are changing. One is complain about it. One is just go ahead and do it. And it's like, I don't like doing this. I don't like what's going on, but I'm going to do it anyway. But now that's kind of like being forced to do it. So you can complain about it. You can be forced to do it, or you can put yourself in a position where you're not bothered as much by the changes. You know, wintertime, cold weather comes every single year. And in the same cold weather, understand that there are people starving to death and freezing in the exact same cold weather that other people have prepared themselves enough that it doesn't bother them. So much so that they're able to go skiing and freaking snowmobiling in the same environment, in the same weather that other people are so unprepared for that when it comes, they complain about it, they can't do nothing about it, and some of them starve to death and freeze to death. In times of change, you have to be the type of person that's willing to roll with the changes and adapt to the changes and adjust to the changes, and your attitude towards the changes that needs to be made by you to adjust matters. Because again, if you're doing it with a bad attitude, there's other people standing right behind you that are willing to do it with a great attitude because they see it as a possibility, as an opportunity, and you're not necessarily looking at it as an opportunity. You're looking at it like somebody owes you something. So what's the overall takeaway? Be willing to change when it's time. And if you're not, be willing to be replaced by those that are willing to put in the work and make the adjustment to get what they want out of something. There are people out here that still feel that if you're willing to put in the work, trucking can provide you a big payoff. Like, you don't even have to do what I'm saying for 10 years. You don't have to save up 100% of your income. Don't get caught up on the numbers that I'm saying. I want you to understand the concept of what I'm saying. Like, don't live in a truck for 10 years. And I'm only talking to the people that this is a possibility for. Some of us, it's not a possibility for. Some of us have families, and some of us have put ourselves in a position where we don't need to do it. But for the individual that this is possible, like, I could potentially do this. Like, for that individual, when you're listening at what I'm talking about living in the truck and saving 100% of your income for 10 years, it don't have to be 10 years, right? You living in the truck, you're probably going to be making an average of $1,000 a week if you're willing to run and you don't need to go home. That's $50,000 a year if you're saving 100%. If you do that for 10 years, that's $500,000. That's life-changing opportunity. If you do it for 5 years and you save $50,000, that's $250,000. If you do it for 3 years, that's $150,000. If you don't save 100% of your income, let's just say you only save 80% of your income. You're making $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month. You're living off of $1,000 a month. You got to get clothes washed every so often. You might want to get a hotel just to get out of the truck, right? So you're saving 80% of your $50,000, and that would be 5 times 2 is 10. That would be $40,000 a year that you'd be saving. Do that for 2 years. That's $80,000. So trucking, my point is, if you're willing to put in the sacrifice, just like it always has been, trucking is still, in my opinion, a profession that can provide you a life-changing opportunity. Okay. I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments. If you're one of the people that, like, this is nothing that you would ever do or think about doing, or you don't need to be thinking that way, or like, you're not going to be away from your family. You got a family. This is not a possibility for you. I want to know what you guys think, but I really want to know what the people think that fit the avatar of somebody that actually could do this. Don't have a whole lot of home obligations, willing to pay the price, willing to work hard, sick of shit being the way that it is, and looking for, there are no guarantees in life. But like I said, some people aren't, they just want to know that it's possible. You guys need to know that it's possible in trucking, I believe. And I want to know what you think about this subject down in the comments as well. Plus, I want anybody standing outside looking at trucking, wondering if it's a good profession to get in, if they're willing to put in the work. I want all you guys to see get a holistic understanding from everybody's perspective. So I don't care whether you agree with me or not. Feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments.